they've got. Meet Al and Harriet Stickney. Ever wonder what life would be like if you were a foot or two shorter? You'd probably have difficulty doing the simplest of things, simply because you couldn't reach. Everything is built to fit those over 5 foot tall. But Al and Harriet Stickney are leaders in a nationwide group of short people who compensate with ingenuity and determination. Among other things, they're called midgets, dwarves, and little people, but none of these names really seem to fit.
Al and I do not care if we're called little people or dwarfs. Dwarf is a medical term, and that is the term that we're getting used to. It's not my favorite word because dwarf connotates Snow White and the Seven and a lot of mythical beings. Usually they weren't ever very gorgeous, and they were not always good guys, and so that you're living down a lot of preconceived notions that people may have about the word dwarf.
These preconceived notions form the biggest barrier to the little people's quest for normal, happy lives. Throughout history, dwarves have been relegated to freak shows and circus acts. They were almost guaranteed sensationalized and undignified lives in the limelight. Today, dwarves still play size-oriented roles, like in this rock video based on The Wizard of Oz. But the trend of demeaning publicity continues, the latest of which was an Australian dwarf throwing contest that has the little people up in arms.
Dwarf throwing has certainly added a new dimension to Australian culture.
We need to get better exposure on television, and some of them will say, well, I won't be in that part if it's not a positive picture. But it's a little hard. I'm finally beginning to understand that it's hard for someone, this is their bread and butter. And if they're going to refuse jobs because they don't adequately portray dwarfs, some other dwarf out there is going to take that job and be a clown.
But as only 3% of all dwarves use show business to capitalize on their stature, the other 97% spend their lives trying to compensate for it. They put their creative energies to work developing little tricks that will help them cope in a big world. Of course, it helps to be a good catch, but in a pinch, one can always ask for help. This is where the little people's sense of community comes in. Al and Harriet are not alone. There are hundreds of dwarves in the Bay Area who join with average-sized families and friends to share experiences at regular group get-togethers.
Glad you can make it. You want to take off your coat and I'll take it for you?
Okay.
The problems that go along with being a little person change with age. Fortunately, though, so do the solutions. Chris is a 14-year-old metatrophic dwarf who stands 3 feet tall.
In the bathroom, we have a high switch. I just use a stick to switch it on and off, but I use lots of stools to reach the sinks. For lights, I have sticks. I have little grabbers to grab things, but I don't really have much difficulty. I've learned to ask people for help. That's a real advantage. If you can ask people, they'll help you.
Dawn is a 3 foot 11-inch high school senior with rather different concerns.
Dancing is one thing I enjoy because, like, with all my average-sized friends, they're so much taller than I am, I just can't. It's a little more difficult. Whereas here, you can be eye to eye with everyone and dance, slow dance. Couldn't slow dance with my other friends without them getting on their knees, and that's embarrassing for myself and embarrassing for them.
And Matthew is a 23-year-old computer expert of 4'4". A former wrestling champion and an avid skier, both he and his brother have adapted very well to their handicap.
You know, people often call me happy-go-lucky and things like this. I think I've adjusted as far as being happy with myself being a little person. My friends wouldn't have any other way. I mean, they've often said you'd be an obnoxious person if you weren't a little person. You wouldn't be able to get away with all the stuff you get away, and that's just, I mean, you know, it goes for anything. So my personality has developed around my size and around my, you know, my stature, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
And Al and Harriet wouldn't have each other any other way. They both love kids, but decided not to have any of their own for medical reasons. Aside from that and their involvement with the little people, the best way to describe them is average.
We live an average life. Harriet was a school teacher before we got married back in Wisconsin, and I work for the airlines here in San Francisco. I've worked for them almost 30 years now. And we The main thing is we tell our teenagers to go out and get an education. We're not going to be professional basketball players, and we know a number of other things. We're not going to be a pro quarterback or anything like that.
But Al helps prove that no job is too big for the little people. As a maintenance foreman for United Airlines, it's his responsibility to coordinate the repair of giant jetliners.
This paperwork's pretty much up to date.
Fortunately, we both had parents who were very, very positive. We both come from average-sized families, and we both have average-sized brothers and sisters. And our family said, you know, you can go and cry all you want, but water's not going to make you grow. You might as well learn to live with it and enjoy life, which we try to do.
Like most of the little people, Harriet and Al make the best of what they have. And though they may need shorter furniture and taller ladders, they still manage to fit in just fine.
We probably live as normal a life as anybody else, and in some ways we try to be as active in as many things so that we, at least the two of us, so that we do get exposure. People see us as a couple, and the only thing is that we're a little shorter than everybody else. And I think that's the picture we would like to present, that we're like almost as much like everybody else and as much different as anybody else, and pay our taxes and all that kind of good stuff.